In this short video, I want to review one of the most expensive products I've ever purchased online, which is Ramit Sethi's Dream Job course. I want to give you a quick overview on how the course is structured once you purchase it, and give you some transparency on whether or not this is worth the purchase for you. I am not affiliated with any way with Ramit Sethi, so you can be confident there that this isn't some type of paid sponsorship. Anyhow, when you first log in, this is the screen you'll see. Anyone who's purchased a flagship course by Ramit is allowed to purchase any other of his courses instantaneously. Therefore, you don't have to wait for the email sequences launching the course, which is more time consuming because you have to wait for the launch period, and then if you miss it, you go on a wait list to wait for the next launch period. I believe he does that for new customers in order to build scarcity so that they're more incentivized to buy. He also organizes these into courses that are recommended and not recommended based off what you bought previously, because there's some mini courses that a bigger course already kind of packages in. In this case, these are the ones that are packaged in for me. Anyhow, in the top left, there's a My Courses tab, and you just click down to the Dream Job section. Now, the layout is very simple. It's just a list of modules from module 1 all the way to module 8, 9, and some bonus Q&As. When you first purchase the course, the modules released 1 week at a time. I'm an impatient person, so at first I thought this was a disservice, but he explains why he does this in the introduction video you can see here, and I thought it was very effective because it turns out that people rush through, they don't do all the action steps, or they don't really do as much as they should, so they go through and skip past the course or breeze through it too quickly, not getting the full benefit or anything close to it. And I did do the action steps, but not as much as I could have, and not as many times as I could have. For example, some of the courses have you reach out to 10 people for a coffee meeting or phone interview, and it's easy to just pitch 10 people and move on and be frustrated with no response. But since I was delayed, I ended up reaching out to over 100 people. So the courses have different modules, and the program is advertised to just have 8, but he surprises you with a bonus module and then some recordings from his elite status level where he interviews and does in-person workshops with some of the other customers, and that's recorded live. And then he has a few quick 30-minute bonus Q&A videos as a little bit of a surprise bonus. I thought it was good, nothing too extravagant. It could be better. It wasn't like I was delivered a bed of roses or anything. It was simply a 30-minute bonus video. And when you click into a module, this is kind of how it looks like. There's a video here that plays. You can comment down here, and then there's links here to downloadables in case you want to listen to them, the audio only while you're in the car, or you want the transcript since you're more of a reader than a watcher. Now, the actual modules have a little bit more meat to them than just one video. Obviously, you kind of have to have more than that if you're trying to sell a course that's so expensive. I personally really like the layout. It's very fast and simple. It's minimalistic but effective. And you get a video like this, usually an hour long, and he goes through basically a PowerPoint presentation and then gives very tangible action steps on why you need to do certain things, the mistakes people make, and so forth. There are some follow-up action steps in here which link out, and then there's links to the bonus vault, as well as I mentioned, the downloadables, the video, audio, and transcript, and PowerPoint presentation. The follow-up section is basically just a list of action steps and success stories that you can fill out. I think that most people skip this, but I try and fill it out because successful people actually do the work. So you add in, basically they're just open fields where you can add in however, whatever you did or your own thoughts based off the prompt here. In this case, it's asking for your biggest insight, and it also asks for success stories, mental barriers, and it even asks you to film a video and then post it here, which I did, to for ambitious people only. So it's kind of like only the most successful people do this. So this links out to my YouTube video where I actually went ahead and kind of like did a mock explanation of like what I learned from this section and so forth. Honestly, I thought it was good and stuff, but the whole idea of tagging "Find Your Dream Job," I felt it was like more of a marketing play than actually out to help me. But it did kind of help me a little bit as well. Overall, I thought it was pretty straightforward. Um, as far as the bonus vault materials, usually they are quick 5 to 10 minute extra videos that you can add on to, um, if you want that extra help. Reading the comments here, most of the customers will only watch this video and they won't fill out this, they won't leave a comment, and they won't check out the bonus vault material. I did every single thing in here. I looked at every single video. Even Ramit mentions in the course that you shouldn't have to look at every single thing in here, and he's not expecting you to. But I did because um, I was desperate to succeed and actually, find a good job. So these are quick 5 to 10 minute videos, and it will vary. Like the first module, um, you have 10 to 15 short videos in here that just touch on little extra topics or just repeat on specific points mentioned in the 1 hour video. But sometimes as you get further down, there'll be less and less videos in each of these modules. One thing that I think could be better is that, this isn't really updated often. This course has been available for many, many years now, and I haven't really seen any, fleshing out of the other modules. So if you go to module 8 or so, sure, there's definitely a good amount of vault material, but I feel like, there could be more stuff added. This could be kind of fleshed out a bit more, but maybe it works. Maybe that's why it is. In this case, there's just one bonus video in here and a link to a 45-minute audio coaching session he had with one of his premium customers. So I thought this was very interesting. It was also kind of a business lesson too, to kind of see like how he structures his course. He doesn't overwhelm people with too much content, and sometimes more content isn't always better, because the goal in mind is to help your customers, not to just overwhelm them with too many videos. Now the modules are structured based off um, A to Z with finding your dream job. So he really takes a holistic approach, starting with like if you're completely lost, that's where module 1 and 2 will really help you, where he pretty much maps out how you can go through LinkedIn and explore all the company industries and job titles and reach out to specific people on LinkedIn with specific scripts and strategies. And it really opens your eyes to how many job titles are out there, far beyond the generic STEM jobs that most people assume are the only possibilities out of high school or college. So he goes into this vaster, and it really does open your eyes on those topics, because there's so many job titles, and it really brings about the whole idea of hope that, it's not the end of the world. There's all these possibilities. Then he moves into how to network properly with these people, and then he gets into um, how to structure a good resume, what you should care about in the resume, what you shouldn't. So some of these things that you shouldn't care about, people that people think you should care about, include how fancy the paper is and how well the design is, and stuffing every little achievement in there. That's not what you should do with a resume, which I assumed you should do. Then he moves into, how to actually apply for the job and stand out against hundreds of applicants. He brings in some experts from uh, Fortune 500 companies who are really well versed in applying for jobs. Then he gets into interviewing and how to do a really effective job interview. Then he gets into salary negotiation, his favorite topic. And then he gets into the first 100 days. What do you do once you get the job? And then some more bonus material. The Dream Job Elite Live, and it's just a vault of videos where he does a few live coaching calls with some premium customers, and he'll touch on some topics that we've seen in the past before. Really, the real meat is when you click into this hot seats link and you look at like specific people, because then you can kind of like look at job titles that you're interested in and look at how they approached applying to a job all the way to job interviews or um, negotiation. Now, they won't touch on every single topic. They'll just touch on the topic that the student had a question on. So maybe this systems administrator one is probably just on negotiation, and this one's probably just on resumes. Um, but I watched every single one of these because I wanted every single angle to this, but you don't have to. There's graphic designers, video gamers, a lot of tech people here, but also product managers and customer service and secretaries and IT, a lot of different stuff here. So it's pretty good. Now, one thing you'll find, and this is still the case, is that I commented on every single thing here because I want to be an engaged customer, and there really wasn't that much of a community here. And I found that by module 9, even though this has like apparently there's thousands of customers to this thing, few people even comment. Like even to this day, there's only like 20 comments here, and the comments drop more and more as people get further into the module because people get lazy and they don't complete it. So to be a successful person, you really have to kind of um, form habits and strategies and tactics, which I talk about how to do in my other videos, to actually finish the course that you bought. Um, so it's pretty cool stuff, and I think it's definitely something that I was considering refunding around module 7 or 8, because if you breeze through this, you might just be like, oh, this seems like common sense. But I was at a point of desperation, and I really wanted a solo course, and this was it. And then I was tempted to refund, but then I realized that I was looking for some quick hack or some piece of information that would just skyrocket my success, when I realized that the magic secret wasn't something that was um, something crazy, but just following through the motions that were in here and just doing what was said. Now, having said that, the tactics in here didn't directly correlate to me getting a job. And for many months, kept at this. I did all the stuff in here and got increasingly more frustrated and resentful that I wasn't seeing the results I was when applying for jobs in the job market. Having said that, I did end up getting a job, and part of some of these tactics may have helped with that, with the resume and with the interviewing and negotiation. And actually finding that job came from traditional means. I applied directly through a company's website rather than a job board, and this wasn't really mentioned in here. He emphasizes this whole tactic of avoiding the black hole of a job board completely and using networking to get that job application in. However, I still think that I gained some value from this just based off the salary negotiation alone, because I would have never considered asking for a salary. I just wanted a job. But by, holding my ground a little bit and, realizing that I do have skills, even though I think I don't, which he emphasizes a lot in here, I was able to ask and receive a slightly higher salary, which paid for the price of this course. So I thought that was worth it on its own. And so, I think it's incredibly useful. And you have to think about how that salary increase will ripple through for the rest of my life. Assuming I stay at this salary level, which I may or may not, sometimes you take paid decreases to find a job that you're more passionate about. But assuming it does, or it stays at some level, that extra increase could result in, more money being put into the things I invest in, Roth IRAs, the index funds, which can compound into hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time I retire, which may be worth it. Now, of course, he uses that selling point as a marketing um, sales tactic, um, and one can stretch it only too far. Like, obviously, everything's worth more when you grow it into the future, but there's a present value to that money that may be worth more than waiting that long for it. But point being, it's still a good benefit nonetheless. So that's my review on his course. He also has the last thing in here, really. It's a very simplistic um, layout in here. The last thing in here is this Q&A section. What's interesting is that I haven't seen him update this in like a year and a half. But maybe that speaks to, how he manages a course. Like, I've heard that, like, sometimes if people stuff too much into a course, it's so overwhelming that um, it's not as useful. So maybe he intentionally didn't add more, but basically you can search by tag. So you can have tags here. If you're interested in LinkedIn, you can click into here and you can find the questions he's answered on LinkedIn, the frequently asked questions, and maybe that will help you in your journey. If you have problems with cover letter, you can click that tag here, or search a keyword here. It's very simplistic. It's never failed to load, and I'm in here fairly quickly. And he really talks about a number of different concepts and topics, like one-nitis, which he talks about in his modules, about how some people get stuck on one company or one job application too much that they limit all the others out there. So I think there's definitely benefit to this course. I think the biggest benefit was really just the mindset switch and the installation of hope in here. A lot of the people in this course, myself included, expressed fear and frustration that they had invested all this time in a law degree or something else, and then they want out of that industry and they think they have to start from zero and they have nothing to offer. But Ramit shows you that that's not true, that you have all this evidence of hustle and work ethic and organization skills that you can package and present and position yourself with effectively to enter a different industry if you know how it works. So that's my review of the course. I have a more in-depth blog post review of Ramit's Dream Job course, which I'll link in the description of this video. Check it out. See what you think of this. Should everyone buy this? No, but I think, I wanted just to give my transparent review of it, and there it is. So hopefully that helped. Subscribe.